Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Welcome to the WorryFree Retirement with your host, the author and creator of the WorryFree Retirement himself, Tony Walker.
Hello and welcome to the WorryFree Retirement, the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money. And yes, I'm Tony Walker, and for about the next 30 minutes, I'm going to guide you through a journey of all kinds of great information dedicated to savers, information on retirement, insurance, annuities, information that we feel is necessary throughout the country because for so long the investment world has kind of had their hand in this situation of giving investment advice. And what I found over the years in doing this for almost 30 years is that savers have been void of information and just straightforward advice that's geared towards them. That is, helping them protect their money and use and enjoy their money. That's the difference between savers and those who are seeking a lot of growth and things that investors are wanting. In fact, before we get into the show, I would like to, if we're prepared in there, I want to mention something about our website, the 3 Personalities of Money. This is an important website, and this is something you can do whether you're watching the show right now. It only takes about 4 or 5 minutes, but what you can do is log on to the number 3, personalities.com. And I devised this ingenious little test to help people understand what their predominant financial personality is, whether it's a saver, investor, or speculator. And then once armed with this information, you'll be in a better position to then find financial products more suited to you. So again, that's 3personalities.com. You can see where all you have to do is click on Take the Test. It only takes about 4 or 5 minutes. And of course, as always, you can contact me directly if you would like to discuss more about your situation. If you're watching this in markets outside the Southern Kentucky area, we'd be glad to send someone your way to talk to you further about your financial personality and which products and services are more geared towards you. Appreciate you showing that. And again, we look forward to your response to that personality test. All right, with us in the studio before we get into today's show is none other than America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Orander. Aaron, how you doing, partner?
Good to see you, Tony. How are you doing?
Doing great, doing great. You got your own black chair today, so you're kind of moving up.
I'm moving up. I'm moving up. Are you nervous?
I don't know. Well, I had you like Ed McMahon standing before, and I said, I'm going to give Aaron a seat and see how he does with it.
I appreciate that.
It's not the hot seat. It's the good seat.
It's not the roaster seat?
No, you're okay. How was your weekend, by the way?
Weekend was really good. We went trick-or-treating. We just had Halloween. And long story made short, my son, Preston, made off like a lottery winner. Two houses that he went to. The people were like, oh, I'm tired. I just got off work. I don't feel like passing out candy. Here. And they gave he walked away one house with probably 90 suckers and another one probably 80 of those like little fun-sized candy bars. So I guess you could say he made off like a lottery winner, or me and Mom made off like a lottery winner. Because
so we're home after the 2 houses?
Yeah, we just we're like, that's a wrap. That's good. We've got candy for months now. We'll have candy till spring break next year.
That's a wrap. Kind of showbiz talk, right?
Exactly. How was your weekend?
Well, it was good. Very, very busy. I've told you we got this little cabin on the lake.
Yes.
Cabin in the woods, as my wife liked to. Now, let me set the stage before I show you a picture of something. It is really in the woods.
Okay.
And there's probably 100 trees or so. And I had a gentleman once show up, and an old country guy, he knew a lot about trees, obviously. He started looking around, he said, I'm kind of worried about some of these trees. And I said, what's the problem? He said, see how they're leaning? I said, yeah. And he said, the ones leaning towards your cabin, you better cut them down.
Okay.
So we had all these cut down. There's quite a few of them, but there's still a ton of them. Well, lo and behold, we hadn't been there in a couple weeks. And, well, let's see if they're ready in there. Let's just take a look at this picture here. Okay, look at that.
Oh, wow.
Now, I don't know if you can tell by this picture. That's the edge of our deck.
Yeah.
See that little fence going around there?
Yeah.
And our house is only about 10 feet from that, and that tree probably extends a good 70, 80 feet. There might be another picture of me standing on the tree just to give you a visual of how big it is. Yeah, there I am. And as you know, I'm a burly 6'8", so that tells you something. But I mean, look at that puppy. That's amazing. And it's kind of interesting. We weren't there, and we have a neighbor on the other side of the house, and they had spotted it and called us on our cell phone because they were nervous. Luckily, it didn't hit the house. I mean, it's one of the biggest trees on the lot right there. And it was funny. He said he never heard it go down. All right, thank you. Well, what I wanted to share with you folks today, and this is going to tie in, I think, very well with our program, is that, I'll tell you what, first of all, let's go to this verse of Scripture, because I think this is going to help us understand what I'm talking about with this big old tree that did not plan on falling, folks. This is from Zechariah 11:2. It says, "Howl, fir tree, for the cedar is fallen." For the cedar is fallen. Okay, now what does that have to do with finances? I want to think about these trees we had out in our lot. And last week we talked about the theme of preparation. And in finances, you have to prepare for things. And what we had tried to do as best we could, we had someone, I'll call him an advisor, really wasn't a so-called tree advisor, but apparently the old boy knew a lot about trees. He told us to cut down the trees that were not leaning towards the house. This one was not. And we saw what happened. In God's appointed time, that tree fell. It was the biggest tree on the lot. It was the strongest tree on the lot. But at its chosen time, listen, this is the verse I want to focus on. At its chosen time, that tree fell. And that's the same way with finances. We're going to talk a little bit about universal life, a little bit about longevity, a little bit about retirement. You know, you never know when this could be your last day on earth. I once heard a guy say that a man's not ready to live till he's ready to die. And I think that's true as we talk about trees in the forest. You don't know if this could be your last day on earth. That's why it's important to plan. The great writer Spurgeon says of this, "He who does not prepare for death is more than an ordinary fool. He's a madman." So as we think about planning, as you watch this program, you have two choices. You can watch the program, hopefully it's entertaining, you can go your merry way, or hopefully there's some things we share on this program and you say, you know what, it is my responsibility to plan. It is my responsibility to prepare. We're going to talk about universal life here in a second. Maybe you have a life insurance policy that you need to have reviewed. Maybe you don't have any life insurance policy, and at your appointed time, you may check out or you may be felled just like that tree when nobody plans on it. So it is your responsibility to plan. We're going to come back in a minute and talk about these universal life policies, but Aaron, my favorite sidekick over here, real quick, can you see if on the Elmo, you've got it up there. Let's go to the Elmo and look at this particular article. It's called Low Rate Era Hits Insurance Policies. What this is talking about, this just came out. In fact, this was just in the Wall Street Journal today. It just came out. This article is talking about the fact that years ago, and I was involved in these products back in the 80s, something hit the market called Universal Life. See it highlighted there? Universal Life. This product was in response to higher interest rates. Because back in the 80s, when whole life insurance was very popular, paying 6, 7, 8%, if you'll remember the 80s, interest rates took off sky high. They were in the 15, 16, 17% return. And what happened was people ran what we call illustrations. They ran assumptions, and they ran these assumptions in the 80s and early 90s based on 10, 11, 12%. I can remember running these assumptions. Nobody ever assumed that it could go back to the guaranteed levels of these universal life policies, which were at 4.5%. Okay, Aaron, so what do you think's happened since the 80s? So people bought these policies.
Yeah.
They were assuming they would make 10, 11, 12%, doing very well, right?
Right.
Okay. You paid premiums assuming you were going to make a lot of money in the policies, but what's happened to interest rates since then?
They've gone down.
Way down.
Yeah.
In fact, they've gone so low, they're paying 4.5%, the guaranteed minimum. And what this article is talking about is a lot of these policies are doomed for failure. In other words, they're like that old tree out there.
Yeah.
People think they've got all this coverage, it's getting ready to fall. So folks, what I would say to you, when we come back, I'm going to give you a brief synopsis on universal life. But this is why we've got programs like this on. Helping savers understand how life insurance really works. Helping them understand that before you get too far along in this life, to check the things that you need to look at. And by the way, for those of you, whether you're in Southern Kentucky or outside Southern Kentucky area, we're giving you some incentive to contact us to either visit with me in person, or if you're outside the Southern Kentucky area, visit with one of our advisors at no cost or obligation. And here's the incentive. If you go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, listen closely, TonyWalkerFinancial.com, click on Contact Tony, the first 10 people to request these books will get all 3 of my books absolutely free. You go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, click on Contact Tony. You need to put your full name, your mailing address, and phone number, and you'll get all 3 books, the WorryFree Retirement, Don't Follow the Herd, and The 3 Personalities of Money. Again, that's TonyWalkerFinancial.com. The first 10 from each of these markets to request those books will get them absolutely free. Well, I'm Tony Walker. We'll be right back. Not only are we going to talk about universal life, we're going to talk about this whole prospect of getting a little older, retiring, and then maybe going back to work. Is it wrong or right or in between? We'll find out. We're going to talk to somebody who's doing that right now. Well, stay tuned. We'll be right back. How would you like to find a trusted advisor in your area who practices and preaches the same safe money solutions that I speak of on this program? Well, you can by simply logging on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and clicking on the Find an Advisor link. Once there, just fill out the confidential profile and submit it. This free service is available to savers who are serious about safeguarding their money. So what are you waiting for? Stop worrying and log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
And now it's time for Tony in the Trenches.
Hey, Tony. My concern is that, working, thought maybe I was perhaps going to save a bunch of money, have comfortable life, live a comfortable life on retirement, but I'm finding out that's not the case, So my question and my worry is that having enough money to take care of me in my retirement age and also having a little bit left over to kind of help my kids out.
That's a great question and a great dilemma, because years ago it was a little easier to save money. We didn't have all these costs and things to worry about. People weren't living as longer. In fact, unfortunately, I did not keep the date of this, but the Wall Street Journal had a great article called Save for Yourself or Kids. Now, that particular article I'm referring to here was talking about college planning and the like, but it's no different. Here's a person who wants to make sure that they don't run out of money, but would also like to have some money left to their kids, grandkids, or something. I think we all feel like that deep down. When that tree falls, when we breathe our last breath, it would be nice to know that we've left something behind. And one of the beauties of life insurance is it is the only product out there that's guaranteed, if you have the right type, and we'll see this in a minute, it's guaranteed to leave something behind tax-free when you need it, and that's at death. So that's why life insurance is so critical in retirement planning and why so many people need to consider having some amount of life insurance to provide that guarantee. Now let's go to the whiteboard real quickly, and I want to talk about universal life because this is very important. Universal life, again, was introduced back in the 80s, all right? It's still around. There's different forms of it now, but back then, again, in the 1980s, roughly, we were making around 12% on these products. So what I'm going to do, let's kind of zoom out here a minute. I'm going to show you how to understand life insurance in general, all right? There's 2 components to life insurance, actually 3. We'll do it this way. You have the premium that you're going to have to pay. Remember, all life insurance requires a premium. Then what you have is something called cash value. Obviously, if you had term insurance, you wouldn't have any cash value. So universal life has something called cash value. And then the most important component of any life insurance really needs to be the death benefit. While it's important to buy life insurance and consider the cash value, that's really kind of the secondary value. The death benefit is what's so important because it's completely tax-free and is guaranteed. Now, but you keep mentioning, Tony, this article you keep talking about. What's the deal with this article? Why are people possibly going to lose their coverage? Here's the problem. All right, the premium, let's imagine this is your age. All right, as you get older, the problem with this type of policy, it's really like term insurance. It's going to go up dramatically as you get older. So with universal life, the premium is going to go up. Now, back in the 80s, if we were making 12%, here's what we thought would happen. The cash value would go up as well. So in other words, there would always be cash value to cover the premium. And then the death benefit, possibly depending on the product, would go up as well. So all was well. Now here's the problem. Now that we're only earning 4.5%, the cash value is starting to go down because the premium is eating away at it. And when this happens, when this crossover point happens, folks, you've got a problem, and that's what this article is talking about. You're going to have to come up with more money, all right? So here's my suggestion. If you have a current life insurance policy, especially one purchased back in the 80s or 90s, please give us a call. There's the toll-free number on the screen. If you're in the Southern Kentucky area, we'd be happy to review those policies at no cost or obligation. If you're outside the Southern Kentucky area, you need to log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. We've gone through the drill. One of our advisors in these other markets would be happy to go over your policies. But folks, you don't want to wait until you get on up in years, because it's too late then. The cost of insurance, if you've got one of these, will eat your lunch, and there are options with it. So again, go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com if you want a no-cost obligation review of your situation. All right, now let's I'm going to get back in the seat here. We've got something really cool to share with you. I want to go to an article. Let's switch over to the Elmo real quick. Look at this article here. This is an interesting article. It says, that's the save for yourself. I'm sorry. Let me slide over here, Aaron. I'll get that for you. Here you go. Many 50-plus workers delay retirement plans. Let's look at that a minute. What is this article all about? It's talking about the fact that people are planning for retirement at traditional ages, 62, 65, 66. And for some people, that's not happening. But then you have other people, well, we've got Marge on the phone here just a second, who have planned for retirement successfully, who have already retired, and then lo and behold, for various reasons, they go back to work. So this is the beauty of the worry-free retirement. The worry-free retirement is not a one-size-fits-all. It's not a situation where everybody's going to have a cookie-cutter generic plan. The worry-free retirement assumes that everybody's different, that everybody has different goals in life, different needs, different financial wants. So this is what's so cool about the worry-free retirement and our approach, unique approach to money. All right, let's see if we've got Marge available. We've got Marge Graves on the line. Now, real quick, a setup. Marge Graves has been a client of mine for years. And so this kind of came up recently. Marge, first of all, how are you doing this morning?
I'm great, Tony. How about you?
I'm doing real well. Marge, you're in Louisville, Kentucky. And if you would, tell the viewers, because a lot of people are not familiar with Louisville, Kentucky, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and just where you are at this station in life.
All right. Well, I'm one of those women that's not afraid to tell my age, but I'm 66. And even though that number is a bigger number than I always felt comfortable that I would feel as young as I do, I still feel like I'm pretty much in my 30s as far as what I'm able to do. I've been married for almost 41 years and have 2 adult daughters who are very successful in their careers, married with 4 grandchildren. And I've had a varied background. I went in the Army Nurse Corps, and right after I graduated from nursing school, spent 5 years on active duty. I'm a Vietnam veteran, and of course Veterans Day is coming up, so I'm pretty focused on that right now with some speeches coming up. And then I stayed home and raised my children. Was very blessed in my mid-40s to begin a career at UPS, and I retired after 15 years with the company, a little bit earlier than I had planned on, because my father died, and it was a matter of my mother either being in a nursing home or making some right decisions and bringing her home to live with us until she passed 14 months later. My husband was always really great about advising me. He's really the solid financial person in our marriage, and he really encouraged me to place and save the maximum amount of money that I could in my 401k. And to be honest with you, at that point, my husband and I really knew nothing about where we should put our money and what direction we should be. We've often said that it's a shame that when we were in our 30s, we didn't meet somebody like Tony that could really help us walk through the proper phases of saving our money. But we did what everybody kind of advised us to do, and certainly our companies encouraged us to do, and we were very aggressive in placing the maximum amount of money in our retirement savings plans. Now, I've been retired for 8 years, and recently I've just really had a strong itch to start doing something that was structured again. I miss being a part of the team. I love being home, and I work a lot in my yard, but you can only do so many projects, and then you pretty much have your home the way you want it to be. Done volunteer work, spent a lot of time with my family and my grandchildren, walked 4 miles every day with one of my best friends from nursing school, but something was just missing in what I needed and wanted to do. So I began 2 weeks ago. This will be my third week. I began a career with Home Depot. And everybody said, "Oh, that's great, Marge, that you're a greeter." Well, I'm not a greeter, and I'm too young physically and mentally to become a greeter, and not to minimize that job. But I became a member of a specific team that Home Depot utilizes to set up designs in stores, and I work 3 days a week. Was very specific about what I was willing to work because I don't want anything to interfere with going to grandchildren's games and being able to travel with my husband and really enjoy what I want to do in retirement. But I wanted to go back to work, so I did. And the people who are the most positive about what I've done are the team members that I worked with at UPS, because they know how dedicated I am, how energetic I am, that I'm full of life. I'm not full of retirement. The only thing I want to worry about in retirement is what I'm going to do next and how much fun I'm going to have. Because my husband and I, we were very fortunate to have tuned into a program once I did retire and my mother was here, to the WAVE program that Tony puts on about worry-free retirement. And I really liked his message.
And Marge, I hate to interrupt you. We've got to wrap up this segment. Marge, we forgot to tell the audience you have high verbal needs just like I do. So that's
absolutely, Tony.
And by the way, where was Bob out there with the hoe? Maybe that's why you're over at Home Depot. At least you can get paid for that, right? I didn't see Bob anywhere in sight.
I now have a house husband, which I haven't had for a long time, and he takes care of some things at home. I had to go to work to get him involved.
All right. Take care, Marge. Thanks for your time. We'll be right back with the Worry-Free Retirement. I'm Tony Walker. You stay tuned. For nearly 30 years, I've made it my life's work to help savers worry less about money. And now I invite you to personally contact me to discuss your situation to see if I can help you. It's very easy. You just log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and click on the Meet with Tony link. Or if you like, you can attend one of my free financial workshops. As always, there's never any cost or obligation to meet and discuss your situation in private. So what are you waiting for? Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
And now it's time for Tony in the Trenches.
Hey, Tony. We are really wanting to retire. And realistically, we're thinking it's going to be a long time. So what kind of plan do you have for us that we can get out of here, looking at our 401k, our pension plans? You know, what can you do for us that we don't have to work till we're 80?
Well, first of all, it's interesting. That's the traditional question we get. But after listening to Marge, I think we all need to understand that retirement is going to look different for different people. A couple things she said real quick. You have to save a lot of money in that first half of life. You heard her say she probably wishes she'd saved more. For this young person, you got to save a lot of money. Secondly, you got to know thyself. I would encourage everyone watching the program to go to 3personalities.com. If you're going to save money somewhere, you got to know your financial personality before you can find the right products. And finally, you need a process. Let's look at this real quick. The Worry-Free Retirement is unique in that there is 5 steps. You first have to clarify your vision. Meet with somebody. Decide what it is you want, not what some financial institution tells you you should want. Number 2, have someone qualified to assess your finances. Number 3, commit to some sort of game plan. Commit to something that you can get your arms wrapped around and that is doable. Number 4, help implement the game plan. That's what an advisor is really for, to show you how to implement the game plan. Let's face it, it doesn't do any good to set up some sort of game plan and commit to it if you don't know how to implement it. And then as Marge, we just found out what's interesting in life, have a plan to monitor your progress. Aaron, I don't know if you're kind of catching on to this a little bit because you're on the younger side, but isn't it neat to see somebody Marge's age? I know you went over and did a lot of that footage. Marge's age, that she can kind of get to this stage in life and, you know what, say, you know what, I think I will go back to work. It'll be fun to work, plus it'll give me some energy, give me some extra money, have some fun at work. I mean, I think that is the coolest thing.
Yeah, it was really kind of neat to just kind of talk with her Saturday morning, and yeah, just, you know, she wasn't desperate, I guess is the word that's coming to mind. You know, she wasn't like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. I got to go back to work. I mean, she flat out told me, she said, I enjoy what I'm doing, you know.
And Bob was very supportive of that, too. That's what I thought was interesting. Folks, that's another thing I was going to share with you. Many of you out there, when you get ready to retire, here's a little food for thought. Before you retire, if you're seriously thinking about it, sit down with your spouse first of all, and then sit down with a qualified advisor, because the picture of retirement may be different than you're thinking. Think through some of the pros and cons. Imagine yourself retired, and quite frankly, you're going to be home with that spouse maybe a lot more than before. Make sure you've got some common interest, some hobbies together, maybe whether you do want to work part-time. These are all realistic discussions that you have to have prior to retirement. If you're already in retirement and you feel like you want to go back to work like Marge, I think that's great. Obviously, the more the merrier in terms of money, and certainly that's going to help you have a worry-free retirement to have that little extra income thrown in there as well. It can't hurt a thing. Well, I'm Tony Walker, and when we come back, we're going to close out the show with a little bit more about this free offer on 3 of my books, absolutely free. You want to stay tuned on how to get that. I'm Tony Walker. I'll be right back. How would you like to find a trusted advisor in your area who practices and preaches the same safe money solutions that I speak of on this program? Well, you can by simply logging on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and clicking on the Find an Advisor link. Once there, just fill out the confidential profile and submit it. This free service is available to savers who are serious about safeguarding their money. So what are you waiting for? Stop worrying and log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Welcome back. And before we close the show, I want to make this offer again for the 3 free books: The WorryFree Retirement, my other book, Don't Follow the Herd, and The 3 Personalities of Money, absolutely free to the first 10 people that request it by logging on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Click on Contact Tony. We need your full name, address, and phone number, and we'll be happy to get you those 3 books, a $49 value, absolutely free. So for the Worry-Free Retirement, I'm Tony Walker saying make it a good day and be worry-free.
The Worry-Free Retirement with financial advisor Tony Walker. To ask Tony a question or to find an advisor in your area, log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com.